class today. Like,
Thanks.
I mean, first of all, I've never had you be this active in class, but you were, not only were you answering the questions, but like your insight, like the way that you were making connections and thinking about things was really, really strong, man. I'm so proud of you. I'm like a little shaky right now because it was just really, really amazing. And you haven't been this active in class before. And so I just wanted to see, like, do you feel like you really understand this content?
Yeah, it's fun. Like, the more you talk about it, like, with everybody, the more I kind of understand, like, fixed and growth mindset.
That is growth mindset. What you just said is growth mindset, which is like the more time and effort and practice that you take, the better that you get at it. And so that's what I wanted to share with you, is this whole, like, the way that you showed up in class today was like the perfect example of growth mindset.
And good afternoon, or good morning, or good evening, depending on where you are around the world. I am Marcus Holmes, HR Passion Guy, and I'm excited to be here. I just showed a clip of our first guest, who we are awaiting his arrival, but we're excited that he was joining us today. And you are on another installment of Passion Fridays, where we bring you people who are passionate, living in the center of their passion and purpose, where those two things intersect. Passionate topics and passionate all around subjects that we love to bring to you here on LinkedIn Live, and of course via restream on Facebook Live, Twitch TV, and YouTube events. Take a moment right now and drop in the comments wherever you are around the world, just where you are around the world and what the temperature is like there. I'm on the northwest side of Detroit. The temperature looks like it's getting close to 50. We've had some 70s in this week, so I don't want to relent. I wanted to keep going forward into spring. How about you? What's the temperature like where you are? Drop it in the comments, whether you're with us on LinkedIn Live, on Facebook Live, on the Love and Stuff page, or Marcus R. Holmes page, on Twitch TV or YouTube events for HR Passion and HR Passion Guy, respectively. Drop in your comments where you are and what the temperature is like where you are now. And so thank you for joining us. I see people on different platforms: Terrence Neal, Ernest Evans, Tiff Danielle, Barbara Jenkins, Malachi Haynes. Wonderful. I hope that you will click share, tag 5 of your closest friends on and connections, 5 of your more popular friends and connections to join us on Passion Fridays. We bring you Passion Fridays, and we've been doing this for a little bit now, and we enjoy bringing you different topics. And if there are topics that we're not bringing that you'd like to hear, why don't you drop me an inbox and give us ideas of things you would like to see on Passion Fridays. Someone, Tiff Danielle, is in Belleville, Michigan, where it's windy. It is windy. While we're waiting on our guest to join us, and again, I showed a first clip of our guest, I want to remind you that our first book, The Gratefulness Journey Every Day, is available now on Amazon, both ebook and paperback. It is from my personal journey of loss and grief, and how gratefulness has helped to power that journey and power my life, where I experience frustration and anger and disappointment, all of those things that you might be experiencing. 3 simple practices in this book can lead you to a life filled with sheer joy and peace and gratefulness. And so I hope that you will purchase this book. It is available right now. Back to our speaker, who we are anticipating his arrival. He is the first of 2 speakers we have today. At the 12:30 hour, I got to remember what time zone we're in. 12:30 hour, we have our transformational coach coming back. So if you are looking to switch careers or get a promotion, negotiate a salary, you don't want to miss that 12:30 spot, where Dwayne Bennett will be back with us again and share some of the success stories just from last week to this week. There are people that are on an amazing journey on their 30, 60, 90 day to their next position. And if that's you, you want to tune in to Dwayne Bennett so that you can gain from that expertise. And so I want you to drop in the comments, because our first guest came across my purview. I have joined TikTok against the advice of my dear niece, who is like a daughter to me, Autumn. She says, "Uncle, you should not be on TikTok, and under no circumstance should you be on there dancing. Do not embarrass us. Do not embarrass me." I think I'm a pretty good dancer. I have just 2 moves, and you'd have to see them somewhere. But I didn't go on there to dance. I just went on there to see. and I ran across this teacher and started to see some of his videos, and of course ended up following him. And what a following he has amassed. He is TikTok sensational, is what I call it. And he speaks so much positivity to his students. So listen, as we're awaiting his arrival, can you think of that teacher, that educator, that principal, that administrator who still you remember the lessons or the way in which they handled you or dealt with you, interacted with you, that made a difference in your life? Drop that in the comments. Who is your favorite teacher or educator or administrator who made a difference either in elementary school or preschool, even made a difference in middle school, or we used to say grade school, made a difference in high school or even in college? Who is that instructor, that teacher, that professor that's made a difference? Drop his or her name in the comments, because I believe that our teachers and educators could never be valued as they should be as it relates to a compensation, but we could certainly do better than I think what we do now. They make all the difference in the world and how we see the world, and I think equally important, how we come to see ourselves. So drop in the comments, who's your favorite teacher, educator, principal, administrator, vice principal, counselor that made a marked difference in your life? You can still envision them. You can still hear their voice, or you can still remember that lesson, that life lesson that he or she taught to you. Drop the name of that person in the comments. As we prepare for our guest to come, I'm going to play one more of his videos just to give you an idea of why I am so impacted by his work with young people.
You're one of the hardest working students I have, and so I have no doubt in my mind that you're going to pass. And so what I want you to do your best is to kind of let go of that outcome of like, am I going to pass or am I going to fail? Because you and I know that you're going to pass because you put so much work and effort into it. But sometimes when we get like so worried about the outcome, we trip over our words, we forget what we were going to say, like we get all messed up because we're so focused on, am I going to pass or not? And we both know you're going to pass, right? So if we can just release, let go of that energy and just be like, hey, this is just me talking to Mr. Donovan, I think it will be a lot better, okay?
Yeah, so I wanted to show you another video as we're waiting for Donovan Taylor to join us. This is Passion Fridays, and you're dropping in the comments, I hope, your favorite teacher, your favorite instructor, your favorite principal who's made a difference in your life. And we're going to be talking with him very shortly, hoping that he is arriving shortly. All right. While we're waiting on him and waiting on you to drop in the comments, HR Passion LLC is a great small organization. If you have HR questions and need HR tips, or if you're on a journey, which is one of the things we love to do, we love to connect people with their next passion in life. If you're on a journey, a 30, 60, 90-day journey to your next position, you should connect with us. We have a wealth of coaches and transformational coaches who will help you and help us help you to get on that journey and path. And so we have a very special training and module that will be available to you, that you can go through these 4 modules on your way to 30, 60, 90 days. We've talked in the past about how you get to those 30, 60, 90 days in some of our discussions. So if you want to go back and learn some of those, right on the Love and Stuff page or right on the LinkedIn Live page is a list of the various Passion Fridays. And in them, we talk about getting your resume together, getting your self-confidence together, getting your questions or responses to questions together, getting your network built up, because your network is a reflection of your net worth. Your network is a reflection of your net worth. And are you leveraging your connection? So we talk about all of that, and we go more in depth in the training. And so you want to sign up for that. We'll have an opportunity for you to be an exclusive first up to sign for that. And we'll have information about that coming in just a few weeks. Tiff Danielle says Lisa Phillips. Okay, tell us a little bit about that Lisa Phillips, who I think I know a Lisa Phillips, so I'm wondering if it's the same one. But give us a little information on Lisa Phillips. I'd love to hear. And the rest of you that are tuned in across platforms, who is your favorite teacher or instructor or educator that's made a difference in your life? Drop that in the comments now. We'd love to hear about it. All right, we're just awaiting our guest. All right, I may have to show another video while we're waiting. I know he is on Pacific Standard Time. I'm on Eastern Standard Time. But I believe we've accounted for that. All right, I do know that Lisa Phillips. She is a member, or was a member, probably still is a member of the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. So I've known her. She's known me all of my life, and her mom and my mom were very good missions circle sisters. And so I do know who Lisa Phillips is. As a matter of fact, my niece Tamara Williams, who is an educator, once taught at Lisa's school. And so I am familiar. Wonderful. What about the rest of you? Drop in the comments your favorite educator, your favorite teacher. We are awaiting Donovan Taylor Hall, who is a phenomenal teacher in the San Francisco or Oakland area, a middle school teacher, and he does these fantastic TikTok inspirational videos with his students, to his students, for his students. And it caught my attention, of course. And I am so excited at the prospect that he's going to be joining us shortly and share with you some of his growth mindset information, as well as share with you about his organization, Full Life. And I will make sure that we provide you a link to that so you can learn more about the work that Donovan is doing. And you might want to join in that work if you're an educator, a teacher, or if you know someone that wants to join in that work. So we want to definitely make sure that you have that information. Tiff Daniel says, high school principal. She's done amazing things and patterned with amazing organizations. Met Obama, Oprah, and had partnered with Gucci recently. Excellent. All right. 33 in Minnesota, Josh Rock says. Oh, I won't complain then, Josh. I was getting ready to complain. It's springtime. I wanted some better weather, but I'm grateful and thankful for the weather that we have to be able to feel it, right? To be able to be in this present moment with you is a way of gratefulness. I talk about that in my book. From my position, gratefulness and gratitude, though we use them interchangeably, gratefulness is the in the moment. Gratitude is the state of being grateful. And I don't think you achieve a state of being grateful without some steps of gratefulness. So our gratefulness journey is about walking every day in moments of gratefulness, that you train your brain what gratefulness feels like, so that your brain creates shortcuts to gratefulness to inspire every moment of your life. And after you build that life of gratefulness, you achieve this aspirational moment or place, state of being of gratitude. And so that's the differentiator that I make between the two. And I want to inspire as many people as I can to live in moments, from moment to moment to moment to moment, in gratefulness, because we all have so much for which to be grateful, even though we've experienced varied and sometimes harrowing events and losses. And so I hope that you will get the gratefulness journey every day. It's an ebook and a paperback, and you can get it today on Amazon. And we'll drop that link in the comments. Going back to the comments, thank you for those of you that are on LinkedIn Live, on Facebook Live, on Twitch TV, on YouTube events. I'm Marcus Holmes, the HR Passion Guy. We're awaiting our first guest. Thankfully, I have the gift to gab, but we're awaiting our first guest, who is a teacher and has become a TikTok sensation. He's an 8th grade teacher, and he also does professional and personal development for teachers, facilitates that in California. So I know there's a time difference in this. Just hope that everything is going along well, and he will be with us shortly. But I joined TikTok against the advice of my beautiful niece, who is like my daughter, because she thought I was going to do dance moves, and I still might. But I joined it and found a lot of inspirational people there as well, as you do typically across platforms. And one gentleman, Donovan Taylor Hall, is amazing. The way that he encourages and inspires his students reminds me of one of my 8th grade teachers and one of my 7th grade teachers and my 2nd grade teacher who inspired me, Mr. Richardson and Mrs. Hop and Mrs. Griffith. They were staples among the many wonderful teachers. I had many wonderful teachers, but those 3 among them continue to stand out in my mind for the way they handled me as a child. Some of them would have had my siblings before me, which is always pressure when you have brilliant siblings. Anybody out there that has brilliant siblings and you almost hated to come behind them in any regard? That was me. And so they handled me to make me have my own individuality and not just be Adrian's little brother or Stefan's little brother, which I was for many, many years. I still am in my mind. And so 2 of those teachers had experience with my siblings. One of them did not, but she helped me to have all of the confidence. Of course, Mrs. Johnson, my kindergarten teacher, but music teacher, but Mrs. Griffith gave me my first school solo, stage solo, which was The Greatest Love of All. Back then it was George Benson before it was Whitney Houston. And so I did that song and I thought I was the superstar because Mrs. Griffith said, "You have a great voice and it should be on stage." I'll never forget those words. It helped that she was beautiful, but she looked me in the eye and said, "You have a great voice and it should be on stage." That's all I needed to know. At age 7, 6 or 7, I got up there and sang The Greatest Love of All, and my mother hugged me after so tight, said, where did you, didn't even know that you had learned the song. I said, Mrs. Griffith said I could do it, and so I could do it, and I did, and I'm so grateful. Marilyn says, no, they were talking about Lisa Phillips, the principal at Cass Tech, not our Lisa Billups. Oh, I'm sorry. I had the wrong person. I'm sorry. I had the wrong person. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so Lisa Phillips. I was thinking Billups. You are correct. I couldn't relate to her last name. So thank you for that, Marilyn Hamilton and Tiff. Thank you so much. Click share and tag someone. I'm going to play another video of Donovan and try to check in with him to make sure everything is okay. And we'll be right back in just a moment. This is another video of him inspiring his young people at his school.
I feel very, very lucky to be in this space with you all, and I feel really happy to see you. And I know that maybe you think that like I just say that and I don't really mean it all the time, but I do. I really mean it. This time with you is like some of the best time I get out of my day. So I just wanted to tell you I'm really happy to see all of you. Even if you have your cameras off and you don't use your audio, just know that I'm happy that you're here, and I'm really glad that we get to work together this module. So pay really close attention to what you offer and how you show up in really positive ways. You're such a leader. The way that you reflect and show up in your work, and you show up for people and you show up for your teams, is so impressive at you. And so I just really, really want to encourage you to take that insight ability and look for the good, positive strengths in you, because this was excellent. This was not okay. This was excellent.
All right. Just checking in to see, make sure Donovan's okay. We're at 12:21, and I wanted to show you a couple of the video pieces, inspirational pieces of him encouraging young people, encouraging them with a growth mindset, encouraging them to learn. And it is reminiscent of all of those years of instruction in varying ways that I experienced with my teachers. I don't know about you, but teachers rock. They are awesome. They are always giving. They are always sacrificing. They are always serving to help to shape our young people, to shape individuals into the coming of themselves. And I think education in part is largely of the coming of yourself into your area of interest, into your area of passion, into a curriculum upon which you build a foundation. And I am inspired by the work that Donovan is doing, and I know that there are other teachers out there just like him who we cannot celebrate enough, but whose passion is contagious. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted Donovan to be here, to show you that whatever area that you are in, whether it pays a mint or whether it pays minuscule from your standpoint, that the value that you bring to that organization and its stakeholders and customers is invaluable, even though everybody might not have the same value range for it. It is invaluable. And what would our lives, our work be if we had someone in the wings who was pushing us, who was the wind beneath our wings, if you will, to propel us, to catapult us to the next level? Everybody needs that. And every teacher is that for somebody. And many teachers is that for many, many students. And that is one of the great benefits and values of having a teacher, a mentor, an educator, just someone who cares. And that's one of the things, if you go to TikTok and see Donovan's many videos, some of them have hundreds of thousands of views. He has had combined over 1 million views on all of his videos, because it resonates with people when there is positivity in the world that is encouraging our young people. And listen, these are not just lessons for our young people. If you are like me and you're a spectator on the sidelines, some of the growth mindset and some of the lessons that he shares with them about hope and about self-talk, all of those things are things that we can use as adults, that we can use as employees, that we can use as leaders. He talks in one of those video clips about self-talk. And I love the brilliance with which he explains it so simply to young people, that oftentimes the self-talk starts with someone else's talk. That someone, a parent, a friend, schoolmate, an aunt and uncle says to you, well, you're not really good at that. And you began to replay what other people say about you. I say the same thing very differently. I believe that people will say about you what you believe about you. And when what someone is saying about you is in contradiction with what you believe about you, you have to give yourself permission to challenge it by speaking to the voice, the inner critic that is talking to you. So when you hear that inner voice saying, you don't belong in that room, you don't belong in that job, you don't belong at that table, you must challenge that self-talk, that inner critic that's talking to you, and say, why don't I belong at that table? Why don't I belong in this position? Why don't I belong in this group? And you must tell yourselves the reasons that you do. Now, it's important that you believe those reasons, right? Because people will begin to say about you what you believe about you. People will start off saying a lot about you, but really they'll repeat what you live out. They'll repeat what you believe about you. And if you believe in you, you can get others to believe in you too. And so you got to work on those affirmations, because if you aren't talking to yourself, you're listening to the voices of others more often than not. And so you got to affirm to yourself, I am grateful. I am smart. I am savvy. I can solve problems. I can collaborate. I can ideate. I can innovate. I am sheer genius that God has poured into me for this time and season in my life. And when a mistake happens or misstep happens, you have to speak back to that misstep and say, I am not the totality of a misstep or mistake that I have done. I am still God's brilliance in this body, inhabiting this world. And so these are affirmations that you have to speak to yourself to talk to the self-doubt or self-talk that sometimes others are saying to you. Have you ever had somebody say, you did okay on that, but you probably should focus on this? Or say, you're not a good ball player, maybe you should take up this. They might be giving you their best opinion. and their best opinion in it might have some good advice for you to improve in certain areas. But it's up to you to decide whether or not what they're saying about you is the truth or what you say about you is the truth, and whether or not it's something you can believe. Hey, maybe you have room to grow as a ball player, and that might be more appropriate to say, right? You need to grow as a ball player in this area, in this area, in this area. And maybe you have to extrapolate. You have to take out of what they're saying these things, right? So that these things are true, and you improve on the things that you can, and you speak and walk and live in the truth that you are a ball player who is improving. It is the same thing if you are an employee or a business owner, a small business owner, or a CEO. Someone is pointing out that was a poor acquisition that you navigated for us, CEO. You're a poor leader. Now, you might take out of that after your ego is bruised, right? That there is some truth in that it was not a good decision, that acquisition. But does that mean you're a poor leader? It does not. It means from that acquisition, you can take to improve out of the things that did not work well, so that you walk more fully in being a great leader. And so you must talk to that self-talk that says, you should have never been in this position in the first place. I told you you shouldn't have left that other company. You shouldn't have been the CEO. I told you you couldn't turn it around. I told you they didn't like you. Why don't they like me? Why does that define who I am as a leader? You got to start the self-talk that aligns with what you are believing or what you are seeking to become. It would be the same for an employee. That performance evaluation was not stellar. After you get over the bruised feelings that your supervisor brought to your attention, some things about you, what's in that evaluation that's true? What's in that evaluation that's factual? Pull it out and say, this is what I can do to improve these things. And this is not the totality of who I am as an employee, what I bring as a value add, and who I am as a person. You have to start speaking to those inner critics, sometimes outer critics, but they really become inner critics when you take in, when you ingest as truth what they are saying about you. What do you say about you? And how can you build day by day, moment by moment, your self-confidence and belief in what you say about you? That is what you want to include in your self-talk. Your self-talk has to speak to the inner critics and the outer critics to say the truth of who you are. But you have to believe the truth of who you are. If you believe those outer critics, if you believe those inner critics, without taking out the things that are true now, because sometimes it's good critique for you. Someone says, that wasn't a great performance. Maybe it wasn't. Take out of it what was great, what wasn't great, and how you can improve that which wasn't great. But that does not mean that you are not great. So it's very important to do that. Our second guest is here, and I'm going to bring him right on. He's just right on time. I absolutely love it. And if you were here last week, you enjoyed this transformational coach. I'm just going to bring him on, and you will see how much you will enjoy the energy, the greatness that is the embodied in the spirit and person of Dwayne Bennett.
After that intro, man, I hope I can live up to the hype.
I'm trying to make sure I can see you on the camera. Let's see. Where are you at?
You see me?
I hear you, but I'm not seeing you. What's going on?
On air.
There you go. Now you're
okay, all right.
I'm so glad you are back here with us, and I'm going to keep inviting you back until you tell me no, because I love your energy, and I'm just talking about self-talk. Our earlier guest did not make it. I don't know what happened. I know we're in different time zones, so maybe he got hung up there. But
you didn't call me. You should have called me. I was ready.
I started to. I was like, now look, I'd have made him adjust. I ain't gonna keep making them adjust, but I appreciate that because it's been a pleasure to have you on, and I think you got some exciting news you shared with me in the email about people that are advancing in their journey. So I want to get right into that, but I'm closing out this self-talk moment, telling people that you got to speak to the outer and inner critic, because sometimes people are telling us stuff, and sometimes they're telling us the truth, even though they could find a better way to tell it, because it'll bruise your ego sometimes, right? If someone says that was a poor decision, we sometimes hear that means that I'm a poor leader or I'm a poor person. No, it could have been a poor decision, but take out of it the facts of it so you can improve your decision making and work on that. But don't internalize it that you're a poor leader. You are a leader, a great leader who made a misstep, who made a mistake. So now let's learn from it and let's become greater. Speak to that inner critic that's telling you, you don't belong in that position. See, I told you, you done made a mistake already. No, I belong in the position because it's to grow me to my next level. This is not my stop. This is a stepping stone. So closing that out now, I'm bringing you right in. So you got some exciting news. Some folks that are working with you are already moving to their next step. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Can I say something about that last point?
Absolutely.
Because it's so powerful and you broke it down so powerfully. But we have a tendency as human beings in general, and then from my perspective and the people that I work with, the most Black professionals, is we make ourselves the mistake. So that's what you're saying. You made a mistake, but it's a mistake. It's not you.
Right.
I love the fact you said that you got to talk to yourself, but talk to yourself in the right way. That is so powerful. I'm glad that you worked on that point and stayed on that point, because a lot of us get stuck at the mistake and we become the mistake as opposed to seeing the mistake as something else and we can rectify. That is so powerful. I'm glad. I hope you helped them, and I hope that they receive that coaching, if you will, that wisdom that you were trying to partake in them in that. So that just was a powerful point. I just wanted to highlight it and reiterate it, because I've been there and so many other people have been there of, I made a mistake and now I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not this, I'm not that, but I am the mistake, which is totally false. It's totally not who I am. It was just a mistake. So that's a powerful point for Friday. And the reason why I'm on it, because we don't want people to make the mistakes at work and carry it all weekend and beat yourself up because you made a mistake. Especially in leadership. So that is a powerful point that I wanted to piggyback on. And thank you for lifting that up and bringing that wisdom to us in that as we make this transition. So tell me where we are.
You shared some exciting news with me in the email that you have some folks that you're working with that are moving to their next level in their career search. And I know that many people are looking for jobs, careers, promotions. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, one of the things I do, and just to let you know what I do, and I'm gonna give a title because people like titles. So I'm a career coach, a DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant, and a speaker. And in this space, but I'm also a community leader of the Black Careers Matter Success Society. That's an online community that I help Black professionals really make more money, right? But I tell them how to position themselves to make more money, get promoted faster, and create their own opportunities. And part of that is using my connections within a greater community to connect people with jobs. And one of the connections that I made is with Virgin Orbit. And if you don't know who Virgin Orbit is, you know Virgin Records is Richard Branson's company. And Virgin Orbit is a part of, I think he got like 300 companies. How many companies? He got a lot of companies, right?
Yeah.
He has a lot of companies, but his companies are successful. He make a lot of money under the Virgin name. And now this is a little side. If you didn't know where we are in this world, space is the next frontier. You think it's the internet, but it's the space, because Elon Musk, I think even Gates or somebody with that. And we talking about Virgin Orbit. They have space companies just like NASA. Okay. So now just put this in perspective. So I got a connection with Virgin Orbit. They make rockets, go to space, want to send people to space. And that connection, because of that connection, I was able to get 2 people in the loop. That one person, they're on their second interview to be. And look, this is the thing. The job, what it does, and the title is so way above me. Is some type of engineer. And they have to have something like C++ language and all these other language stuff to be able to work on these rockets or be able to work on these programs. And I mean, you got to be really heady in terms of your degree and your knowledge. And I hope it's okay. I'm not gonna say his name. People get asked his name because he hasn't given me permission to disclose that. But he's a black gentleman, and he's on his second interview to be a employee of Virgin Orbit that makes rockets.
Wow.
But I got it balanced because there's another lady I just brought in, and she's in the HR pool now, and my connection's gonna pull her out to talk to her to see where she wants to go. What's the lesson? The lesson is you got to get beyond yourself. You got to make sure you're using your connections in the right way in order to get to your next level. So I'm a community connector. And let me tell you this. I don't get paid for this. I don't get paid for this. I personally reached out. You probably got a message from me on LinkedIn. I personally reached out to at least between 990 and 990 to 1,000 HR people to make the connections so that this DEI initiative thing can be real. So when I connect, I'm not pulling jobs from all over the world and all over boards to say, hey, I want to give this to my community. I'm connecting with people like Marcus that are really, really making DEI come alive by taking a look at the people. Here you go. But you got to be qualified, y'all. You got to be qualified. The people that are qualified for certain jobs and give them a real authentic look and opportunity to be involved with the company. So thank you for lifting it up. It's so exciting that it just hit me that I have a brother and a sister, male and female, on both sides. So I'm glad that we're able to help in that capacity. So that's some of the great news and some of the great things we've been doing, and I'm able to do as a founder of the Black Careers Matter Success Society.
Yeah. And you said you're a coach, but I'd say you're a transformational coach.
Thank you,
I don't know if you can add that to your title, but you're a transformational coach.
Thank you.
So talk to us a little bit about, you talked about you being a community connector, and I love that. How do we use our connections and network more effectively, Dwayne? How would you advise us to use them more effectively?
Great. One of our thought leaders, Stephen Covey, is chapter 2 in the 7 habits of highly effective people. Number 2, he says, first seek to understand, then to be understood. First seek to understand, then to be understood. So when you want to connect with someone, seek first to understand where they are in their life goals, dreams, and aspirations. And once you understand that, then first seek to do what? To help them in their endeavor. Got to give. It's a great book of wisdom. Say, give and you shall receive. From this book of wisdom I read every day. Yeah. All right. And then 2, right? Once you find that, work with them. And then as you establish, here you go, this relationship, then it happens like this. They're going to start talking to you and try to understand where you are. And then you can be authentic. This is where I am in my career. This is where I am in my dreams, my goals, and my aspirations. And this is how I can have some assistance. So the key to networking is first seek to see how you can help the person. See how you can become to their aid. See how you can be a resource to them first. Then in your giving, you're going to receive, because in building that relationship, then they're going to be able to, they're going to want to help you. And even that's the law of reciprocation. I do something for you, you do something for me. There's many different things go on when you seek to help others first and go beyond yourself as to the things that come back to you. Giving you to receive, reciprocate, put yourself in the best position. And even if they don't have an opportunity, now you're within them, within their network, within their mind, within their scope. And then if something comes up, then they'll be able to assist you. Just like why I am on this interview. I was working with HR passion guy. I call him something different every time, right, y'all? Every time I talk to him, right? And because I'm trying to help him in his mission and things he do, then he reached out, hey, you're doing some great things. Let's come and talk. Let's come and work with people. And then let's I don't know if you tell people this. We're not getting paid for this.
That's correct.
We're giving you this. This is a community service. This is something we do out of our passion. This is something we want to do to give. So from this, and this is the key to what I've learned, is in giving, it may not be always a direct connection. It may not be always connect. So even though you're networking with someone, you're giving to them, it may not be from them, but it may be someone they may talk to or someone in their network that makes something come back to you. Or if you receive some out of the ordinary or some kind of help in that situation, that's because of what you did. You gave, you reached out, and you seek first to understand, then to be understood. You gave, then the law of reciprocity, all those things can happen for you. So that's how you network. Reach out first to help, to give, to pursue, to also come with credentials. Then when the opportunity presents itself, then say, hey, this is how I can be assisted. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And so once you have started to develop that one-on-one, and I know we're in a virtual environment, so for some it's difficult, for some it isn't. I was telling somebody as I'm trying to enlarge my network, because I have a book out, right? So I'm trying to enlarge my network. Each month, I'm, at the end of the month, I'm going to invite new connections to a Zoom.
Right.
For 2 or 3 minutes to just meet, and they might meet somebody else in that Zoom. It might not be so deep a connection for me, but they might meet somebody else and remember that I was the connector to connect them. And I think that that's powerful too. So I don't necessarily get something out of that connection, but they remember that I took the time to connect them to somebody else, and they remember those things. Right. And so after you've done that and you kind of started to network, how do you position the ask? So let's say, Dwayne, I'm going to ask of you now. You got somebody in there building rockets. They got a position. I want to be at Boeing. Somebody at Boeing. How do I position my ask of Dwayne? If that were my ask, hey, I want to, take advantage of one of your connections. How do you position the ask after you started developing that relationship? It's
so beautiful. One of the things is you got to have patience. Like my brother Dominique, that's Carter, that's listening to us when he gave his testimony about getting a job, patience, and how you work yourself through. So you got to have patience in this process as you're connecting with people. But this is a beautiful thing. Just like me and you have conversations every week, we start to learn things about each other. And then in learning about each other, you talk about the ask, it naturally occurs. It naturally occurs. We talk back and forth, this, that. You're like, hey, got this book coming out. Huh? You got a book? Let me get it. Got the book first day. I might be the first one. I don't know, but I got it since it came out, because we established this relationship. And now this is the key too, is even if you have to ask, you feel confident and feel it's okay because you've given first. You've given first. You're not just trying to receive. You're not just trying to take. You're trying to assist. You're trying to grow the person and help. So if in fact, say for instance, within that time, say for instance, if you lose your job, then you say the ask is, hey, we've been working together, this and that. Just want to let you know, I lost my job. I'm looking for another opportunity. Here you go. Do you know someone? And I got this from a brother. I think the question you say is, who do you know that I need to know? Who do you know that I need to know? I got that from John Maxwell. He said that, and then I also reiterated it. A Youngblood, brother Youngblood, he uses it too. And I love the fact when you ask a person that question, who do you know that I need to know? It causes the mind and to start to search for people that they think that you need to know, as opposed to, can you help me? Can you give me a job? It's like, okay, I'm looking for a job. These are the things. Who do you know that I need to know? That opens up to a myriad of ways to go, because it could be direct to a job connection, or it could be just to say, hey, I know this person that may know this person, because it's all about connection these days, or it's there. So to answer the question specifically, the ask can come naturally after this connection, or it can come intentionally when you need something from that person at a particular time. That's great advice. I want to slightly pivot and talk to you a little bit about, I don't know if it's necessarily a phenomenon, Dwayne, but there are many professionals whose jobs were impacted by COVID. And so they're no longer in a position, but they haven't been in the job market for many years. I'm thinking of one of my colleagues. He is an HR professional and has been out there looking. His company downsized, of course, resulting of COVID. But I also told him, to be of good cheer. Right, exactly. Jesus would say, be of good cheer, because a lot of companies that were relegated to one spot are now global. You can do some of the work
wherever you are around the world. So it opens it up for some people.
Right.
But what would you say to someone who is just re-entering the job market after having not looked for a job in 20 years because they've been at a company 20 years or 15 years or 10 years? What are the steps that he or she should be taking now to secure that next opportunity? So they haven't been out in the market at all.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know why you asking me that question because you're the HR guy, right? So he asked a question he don't answer. So I'm getting nervous that I may not answer the question correctly.
You're out here helping people get to jobs.
I got
as a transformational coach.
Yeah.
You got people going to the companies where they're making rockets.
Yeah. So
that's why I'm asking you.
All right.
That's what I'm asking.
And it's for real. We got to understand this world is based on relationships. And no matter what the situation is, if you're going before a HR person, if you will, it's about a relationship. And then in relationships, you're looking for certain things. Now, it's very interesting that I just had this conversation with a coaching client on yesterday. And the situation with them was that they want to be a mid-level person in their job, right? They want to be a mid-level person, but they don't have the mid-level skills. And they've been out of work for some time. So you correct me if I'm wrong, any along these lines, HR, is this. HR like to see people working all the time. They don't like to see big gaps in your resume in general if you don't have a skill set, and specifically about not working. I've come to understand that HR wants people working all the time, no matter what the situation is. So this person, if they come to me at a certain time, the first thing I'm asking them, are you working? If they say I'm not working, I'm gonna say, get a job. I don't care what the job is. Get a job. Even though you had this wealth of experience, here we go. You have to have realistic expectations because you can't come in on the same level that you were before. I was talking to another lady, another coach, and she was out for 10 years, but she wanted to come back in on the same level of higher. And I asked her, how are you going to make up the 10-year gap that you missed for not being in this position?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would. I tend to agree with that. I think in HR, we got to pivot a little bit because what I tell people about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, and I say diversity, equity, access, inclusion, and belonging. But what I tell people about
put that on me. Now I got to write that down. I got to figure out what all that means. I just got DEI down pretty smoothly, able to say that out nice. Now you got DEI, belonging, acceptance. Come on, man. Work with me, HR guy.
I'm trying. But what I tell them is if you, in this day and time, especially with the pandemic, you got to kind of navigate that differently, right? But most HR professionals would tell you that they don't pay as much attention to those gaps if it's a millennial because we expect millennials to move around.
Right.
But that's unfair to someone else who's not a millennial because they haven't been in certain places. Mm-hmm. So you kind of do more functional resume where you have gaps.
Right.
And you have some discussion with them around what did you do relative to these functions in those gaps? Because you got to be careful. You might get some information that you don't want to have on the record of someone who tells you stuff that happened in the gaps, right? And so we got to kind of rethink those gaps a little bit because we're penalizing some great people who just had a slow run, a slow area where they didn't have work, especially in this environment. So I'm always telling people, colleagues, you got to be, if you would give a millennial an interview and a chance who went to 6 jobs in 4 years, you might consider that person who might be more seasoned or older who had a gap of 2 years. You got to kind of level it out to make sure if you're really serious about diversity, equity, and inclusion, because there are people who transfer careers and it's hard to go from a straight project manager to an HR business partner.
Exactly.
And so some people might have a little gap in there when that company downsizes. So you got to kind of really make sure that your assessment brings out the best, shows you the best of an individual and not penalize the individual.
And then what you brought out was a point I was going to get to too, which I hope our listeners didn't miss it. There's different types of resume. It's more than just the chronological resume. So sometimes and then the HR person is going to sniff this out. But if you put your resume in a functional capacity or skill set capacity, now when the HR rep reads it, they say, at least we got a skill set here. At least we got some things we can function. We can see that there's some gaps. let's see, can we match up the skill sets and the function things with where we are? So I'm glad that you brought up the fact that it's different types of resumes, so that people, you have to, and this is kind of piggyback on what we talked about last week, is in terms of do your research, do your background, and find out about that HR person, the company. So when you present yourself, you're presenting yourself in the best light. So if you present yourself with that resume that has gaps, then just human nature. Remember I told you we're all human? Human nature, the first question, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Marcus, is like, okay, what were you doing during this time?
Right.
But if you have it set up in skill sets or functions, they can say, okay, tell me what you did at this project. Tell me what you did in this space. Tell me what you did in this space. And then when we get down to it, then you can say, okay, if there's a gap there, we can talk through that. But I already know you got some skill sets. If it makes sense as why you were out, then maybe we can get to the next level.
Yeah.
But presenting yourself in a way that's favorable comes down to, we talked about last week, knowing the company, knowing the representative. Your cover letter refers specifically to the particular job. Your resume fits the industry. That's another thing too, because in the educational industry, once you're on a certain level, they want curriculum vitae, right? You're like, what is that? You may not know that if you're not in that industry. So when you're in the industry, if you're artistic industry, then you may want to have something that has some artistic flair on it. Maybe floral or light blue is good on your resume, but Marcus probably don't want to see that because he's in a different industry. Right. So this thing is, it's a lot of things. I think, to me, is, I use this term, but I don't, it's not the best term, but it's the devil's in the details, meaning that in the details of your presentation of how you do things, that can carry you further than if you just throw some stuff out there. Is that correct? Is that a good way to look at it?
Yeah, I'm just going to add the small thing, then I'm going to pivot to your success society before we close. But I would say skills or function or core competencies. So
okay,
you can develop a resume on core competencies for that organization, and then be prepared in that second interview, because that core competency should get you through that first interview. You'll be talking about core values. So even if you don't design your resume to core value, it would be good to write a resume of core values that you've exhibited that align with that company's core values that you saw on the website. That's what you're going to hear more times than not in a second interview. Do your core values match ours? And so if you're already writing it down and already reconciling what you have and what you don't, you position yourself better for that second interview, because you're already thinking, okay, how do I go to the higher offer backwards, right? And get every step backwards. But I want to pivot.
Can I say something before we pivot? Can I say something that, and look, you got to be a lifelong learner, okay? And the reason I'm saying that, because I learned, this is for, I mean, I'm telling you, if you don't get anything out of this interview or the last one, I learned this last week from HR passion guy who is in HR, doing it 15, 20 years. This is what he said. And this is what I would tell my friend, because the question was, what would you tell someone that's out there and they're trying to get back in? I would tell them what you told me, the advice. If you have 60% of the qualifications, even though you've been out, apply. And then you said if you have 85% of the qualifications, you should prepare yourself, at least get an interview, and prepare yourself for salary negotiations. So when that person come and tell me, I've been out, I'm trying to get in, and I'm trying to apply for this job, now say to him what I've learned from you last week: do you have 60% of the qualifications for the job you're going to apply? If they say yes, boom, apply. Got 85, you start doing some research on salary and negotiation, so you're probably gonna get the interview. So I learned that from you. And if no one's get anything else from it, and the reason I'm saying is, I don't think people know that as to what are your realistic expectations of getting an interview or a job based on your qualifications. And see, that's gonna help me anyway, because you talk about Virgin Orbit and the way I was able to connect people. One of the things was, and I'm serious, is I was like, do you have the qualifications? If you don't have the qualifications, I can't pass your resume on, because this person, even though I'm not screening you, even though I'm not the person that's there, I'm not trying to knock you out, then your time is valuable, my time is valuable, their time is valuable too. And we don't want to put you in a worse position than you would be by not getting there. So that's how I would answer. I would give them a real concrete answer that you gave me: 60%, 85%, let's go or not go, or then I need to upgrade my skills in these particular areas.
Yeah. I want to pivot for you in these last couple of minutes to give us a quick overview of your Success Society and how people can connect to you, because I know there's an early adopter opportunity. So give us your elevator pitch.
And see, I get better when I speak because he uses all the terms. Early adopter. I would just say, hey, people, you get in now, right? You can get an investment discount. Like he said, early adopter. I love it. Let me sum up the Black Career Success Society in a nutshell, but I'm gonna do it in phases. First of all, it's online. It's a virtual, right, online, right, community that I'm developing for career-minded professionals, specifically African American or Black, to, here we go, focus on the skills to position themselves. And I'm using this term now to be more demanding or commanding of the opportunity, of the promotion, of the more money when you've gotten your stuff together, when you position yourself, when you got the criteria, when you got the certificates, when you got all those things, then you can be a little more commanding. That's my new word, of the person you're working with, your boss, the HR person there. So I built this community, and inside the community, I'm training, right? I'm coaching, right? And I'm speaking to the issues. Here we go. The relevant issues of today. This interview is going to go in there because it's relevant to the issues of today in general now, in general, but also specifically to us. That's going to help us prepare ourselves and position ourselves for these opportunities. And you mentioned Boeing. I had to connect with a Boeing person a couple of weeks ago. I still think that's good. And I had no idea these kind of opportunities are becoming in. So what I'm doing now is here we go. I'm putting my wealth of experience into one space so we can come into one space and get the answers we need. So for example, one of the things that this HR passion guy is excited about that he loves is who's hiring Black. That's my, if you will, job board section. Within the community, I'm posting jobs that have companies that at least say, hey, we're interested in promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging and acceptance, right? In there also. So the jobs are not just jobs I'm pulling for anywhere. I got a little connection there. And I'm saying at least, hey, when a brother or sister wants to apply, I give you a fair look. That's who's hiring Black is about. We also talk about, okay, the gentleman that you asked me about, Marcus, he may be a certain place in his career. He may not know where he is in his career, so he may not know the next step. Within the Black Careers Matter Success Society, there's what I call a career success path. You find yourself on the path, then you'll know your next step, but then you'll know how to prepare yourself for the next step. Do I need to work on my brand? Do I need to work on my resume? Do I need to get another certificate? Do I need to get another specialty? Then you'll know what to do. Then we have this community that we can do this 24/7 like we're doing now. You can get in there with the community. You can get in there and talk to other people. If I'm not in there, who knows? Mr. Marcus may be in there. Some other people that are similarly situated can give you answers that are fresh. The person that just got promoted, that they can tell you, this is what this company does to get you promoted. Those type of things. So we're excited about the Black Careers Matter Success Society because it's for us, by us, to position us to get the things that, and this is what I'm so passionate about. We got these degrees. Let me go and switch up on you a little bit. We have these degrees, right? We've earned these degrees. We've earned, we have this work experience. We have this skill set, but still we got a choice to make. We can always look at whether or not it's systematic racism, whether or not it's other things, or can we turn the corner in some situations and look at me and say, you know what? I applied. I really wasn't qualified. I really wasn't ready. I really didn't do a good job in interviewing. I really didn't put forth my best self in my resume, and that's why I didn't come back. So I fall back on you got the skill set for real. You really do. You have the degrees. You really do. You have the certifications. You really do. But sometimes the part that you miss is that I have to take personal responsibility for my own success. And then I got to go a little harder, a little stronger on my personal development. So when these positions come up, I'm really positioned to get them. And I think we talked about this last week, Marcus. Tell us about the fact that, you know, most of the time you're looking for a specific candidate for a specific job that has a specific skill set. I know I'm probably dating myself, general stuff, anything in business. I have a marketing degree. Anything in business, I can put in a resume. I might get hired. They'll train me. But this day is a little more specialized, and you correct me if I'm wrong, in terms of your skill set. So if you have a specific skill set for a specific job, then you got to be ready. And if you don't get it, don't say it's somebody else. Don't say it's the system. Don't say it's this. You know if you had the skill set or not, period. And I don't want to go too hard on people, but I will turn it back over to Mr. Mark.
Yes. So tell us where they can connect with you. We know we can connect with you here on LinkedIn, but where else can we connect?
You can connect with me. You got one of my websites up there, and this is the one I think I gave out last. This is my personal one, y'all. You won't find this on my on my website, but this is one I gave out to the community. You can and follow up with me there. But also, if you want to join or get some more information, is for the Black Careers Matter Success Society. Check out the URL, www.myblackcareermatters.com. That's right, myblackcareersmatter.com. That's how important this is to me, that I put in that my Black career matters. And if you say that every day, then that'll give you the incentive to go forward.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being with us. We are at 104, and so we're going to have you back. We have to have you back to continue this conversation.
I love it.
But we'll set up
please.
we will set up a date and have you back. If you have more questions, inbox Dwayne Bennett or inbox me, and we'll answer those questions. Right. I am excited to have had you here. I should have had you on for the entire hour, but we will work that out next time.
I love it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for being with us.
All right, enjoy your day.
Okay.
All right.
And thank you all for being with us. Follow us on LinkedIn Live, on Marcus Our Homes page, on the Love and Stuff page. Thank you so much for joining us for Passion Fridays. It's been a great Friday. Have a grateful weekend. Please consider our book, The Gratefulness Journey Every Day. What are you doing in the next 30 days to transform your life? Thank you.